So, hello and welcome to this week's weekly drive, which is all about the routes to publishing. What pathway? How can I get my book published? How should I do it? What about a traditional path? What other kinds of paths are there? People ask these questions all of the time. And what I have learned about the book world and about publishing is it's quite fickle. And yeah, some people we want all to be driven by integrity, but I'm sure you've heard some stories where people have been fooled, etc., etc. So, as an educator, my job is to educate people, explain, give them information so they can make informed choices as to what they can and cannot do, and then decide what will they do. So, as you know, my name is Brenda Dempsey. I'm the founder and CEO of Book Brilliance Publishing, and everything in my world is bright and sparkly, and it's full of brilliance. And my job is to bring your brilliance out so we create ripples of brilliance in the world and bring more light, impact, and inspiration to the world so others too can find their path. So that's who I am and what I am all about. And as I said earlier, it's about people often sign up for things, but do they show up? That tells me a lot about a person when people show up when they've signed up. It shows me commitment. And to be a successful author, it is the number one thing that you need. You need to be committed to number one, to yourself. You need to be committed to your purpose and your passion. And you need to be committed to the longevity of your book project. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And I'm sure, and let's make this a bit interactive. I'm a teacher and I like it that way. Can you tell me some authors that you know whose books people are still reading today that's got longevity? Fiction or non-fiction?
Well, in my area, there's a couple of them that have kind of stood the test of time.
Okay.
One around projects, and I mean, we're talking sort of technology projects here from major organizations. And probably my favorite book is called The Mythical Man Month, which is
Ooh,
written in the 1970s, actually, by
okay.
Professor Fred Brooks from the US, and it's still a classic. Classic in that area.
There
And then
you
he
go.
wrote a paper called No Silver Bullet, which is of similar ilk.
So 50 years plus, still going strong. Dr.
Absolutely.
Jagdish, any book that comes to mind for you that's got longevity?
Well, I'm most impressed by Paulo Coelho's writing, The Alchemist. Uh, that's a wonderful book, bestseller in all the countries, and that inspires us to do a lot. Uh, then Robin Sharma, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Uh, that was also a very inspiring book. So that's what I like. I like to get inspired so that I can also share some inspiration to others also.
And of course,
So
you've got your book, but it's on its way to longevity because it's filled with your wisdom and all your philosophy and learning as well. So yeah, so you can see that. So we've got Stephen Covey, we've got Napoleon Hill, we've got Shakespeare, we've got Dickens, we've got, Bronte's, so these books stand the test of time. And for me at Book Brilliance Publishing, that's what we're about. We're about creating books that are going to stand the test of time. And with that, you need to understand what goes in it. But we're going to leave that for another day because today's all about what are the different paths. So let's jump right into the different paths. I have got a little PowerPoint that I'd like to share. Okay. Please ask any questions. There's just a couple of us, so I don't mind if you interrupt. I don't mind at all. Let me just make this fill the screen. Okay, so can you see that, everybody?
Nope.
yeah,
Well, we
Yes?
can see, but it doesn't fill the screen.
Oh, is yours not filling the screen?
No, it looks like you've opened a slide deck in Outlook, and it's showing you the Outlook frame, not PowerPoint. Oh, slide 1 of 13. Yeah, you're showing it as an embedded deck. That's fine.
Okay.
I can see it okay.
Oh, that's not what I see. I see my screen filled. So I don't know. I do apologize. I need to look into that then if you're not seeing what I'm seeing. That'll be a technical thing, so I'll need to find out how to rectify that. Thanks very much, Jeff, for letting me know. Okay, so we have something that we use. It's a traffic light system. And we're well aware of the traffic light system. I used to teach. I use traffic light system for 5-year-olds. I've used it for 18-year-olds. I use it for adults because we all understand a stop, let's get ready, and green for go. So we need to find out what those paths are. So let's look at it. So let's look at traditional.
If you're switching slides, I'm not seeing the switching of slides. I'm still on slide 1.
Oh, hold
Shows
on.
navigating.
Let me start. Okay. Can you see a whole screen now?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I don't know what happened. I do apologize. Okay. So traditional publishing. So when we talk about traditional publishing, we're talking about there's the big 5 boys that we all know: Schuster Schuster, Penguin, HarperCollins, and then quite a few other quite large traditional publishing houses along the way, like Wiley and a few others. So let's look at what that means if you have your book traditionally published. Well, you get a cut of the royalty. So a traditional publisher takes a lion's share of the royalty, and you get maybe 10% if you're lucky. And if you're a really good author, you might get 20%. But most authors will get around between 10, 12, 15%. It just depends. And of course, because the traditional publisher has given you an advance, they've got to make sure they get the money back. And I'll talk a wee bit about advance when we get to that green part. So the thing about traditional publishing as well, you don't own the rights. You're selling your manuscript to that publisher, and they're giving you that advance payment. So you no longer own the rights to your book. They own the rights to your book. Now, that could be a significant issue for you because it's your intellectual property. So you can see sometimes fiction writing is more suited to traditional than the non-fiction, but obviously traditional publishers do publish non-fiction as well. And a lot of authors, and I'll talk about how you would get into traditional publishing, take it for the name, and it's a bit of kudos. And that might be what you want, and there's no judgment on that. It's got to be right for you. Creative control, you do not have any creative control. Traditional book publishers, it's about the commercial value of the book that you're writing. So they spend millions of pounds looking at trends. So therefore they can say, well, like this year it's romantic fiction novels that are doing well. So they will look at different areas. Obviously AI is going to be a big thing in 2025. So they'll know the topic, so they'll have the creative control. So what that means is for authors is you could have a great book, it could be brilliantly written, it could be a masterpiece, but if it's not got commercial value, they're not going to take your book on board. Not at that time, they might later on. So they're the kind of the red flags about traditional publishing. But what are the good things about traditional publishing? Well, you get an advance payment. So they give you some money up front. Woo! Happy days. But here's where let's get the reality check on what is an advance payment and how much is it? Okay, let me ask you, how much do you think an advance payment is?
I don't know, but I must admit, I've been a Wilbur Smith fan for years.
Uh-huh.
You can see I have a connection with Africa, right?
Yeah.
But so I recently read his book on Leopard's Rock, which was really just a what is it, like a story about his life.
Yes.
And after his first book, which was very successful, and he never had to work again except as an author, after that, he got significant advancements up, talking potentially millions.
Yeah.
But so that's the only example that I'm aware of. I'm sure it varies enormously otherwise.
Okay. So if we think there's like, there's hundreds of thousands of books published in a year.
Yeah.
So all traditional publishers aren't paying £1 million to everybody.
No.
The 6-figure and 7-figure advances go to people who have got a pedigree, who are well known, who've got a reputation, who are going to guarantee. So I'm going to pay you 2 million, but I know I'm going to make 10 million from your book, right? They're not going to pay that kind of figure to unknowns. Bit unusual. I'm not saying it never happens, but it's not the norm. So, have we ever heard of a little book called Harry Potter?
Yep.
Okay, do you know what J.K. Rowling got for her advancement for her first book?
No.
Have a guess.
£5,000.
No, but I love your conservative guess. I think that's really good. She got £1,500.
£1,500.
That's what she got.
Because I know that was her first book when she
Yeah.
wrote the first one, Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah.
And the outline, she wrote the outline on a train. So she wasn't a known author at all.
No, so she wasn't a known author. They weren't even looking at her book. I'm sure you know her story, except for one of the people that worked at the and it wasn't even Bloomsbury at the time. There was a child that had to come into the office, and they raked through a drawer and they found the manuscript, and they took it out and started reading it, but couldn't put it down. So this is why, because it had a big cross through it saying no good, but this child read it and was like crazy about it. So they looked at it again and looked at it again, more meetings, and then it goes, okay, let's take it on, £1,500. She's a billionaire now. Okay, so my point is about advance payments. The average person in the street thinks advance payments are all tens of thousands of pounds, hundreds of thousands of pounds, and even £1 million, which is not the case, because in traditional publishing, it's only the top 1% of authors that make the money. A lot of books fail in traditional publishing, but you never hear about them. So, but you do get an advance payments. That might be important to you. You get good distribution, you get good promotion at the launch, but that's it. You have to do your own marketing. Every author has to do their own marketing. And because the readers don't want to know the publisher or whatever, they want the author. They want to get to know the author as a real person. And they've got lots of distribution channels, because they are, not because they're traditional publishing, but because they're a professional publisher. And then, of course, you've got the quality. The quality, although that can be debatable, if you look at some books that we see, even J.K. Rowling's books have got terrible mistakes in them, and how they get through it, we don't know. We don't understand it. So, but there is a reasonable quality assured with traditional publishing. Any questions about traditional publishing? I'll keep going. So, as Trisha, but you submit your manuscript to the established publishing houses, but there's things that you need to know about it. So, when you submit your manuscript, it's got to be in a certain condition. I'll say more about that once we've got everything on the screen. But you're going to get professional editing, design, and marketing, because they will do a lot. Well, they've actually done a lot of the work before they take on your manuscript, because they know, as I said earlier, what's viable and what's coming up. and you've got potential wider distribution, and you definitely have bookstore placement with the big boys. For sure, you get that placement that you might not get elsewhere. But then it goes back to what is the purpose of the book, and what other return of investment can you get? What other ROI? And how, if you're not getting bookstore placement, how can you earn 6 figures and above? And how can you have brand awareness and raise your authority? So all these questions need answered right at the beginning. So here's some of the problems. There's lots of gatekeepers to get anywhere near a traditional publishing house, i.e. you need a literary agent. Good luck if you can find one, and good luck if they want to take it on. Again, they'll only take on what they know the publishing houses are working on, so they work quite closely. So they're always on the lookout for new talent. And of course, they take quite a chunk of the advance payment as well. They take it at about 20%. I've even known some of them to take 30%. But if it's 30% of £1 million, hey ho, you still got a lot of money in your back pocket. The timeline for publishing is at least 2 years, could be 3, but a minimum of 2 years, because you need all that time for the marketing. And of course, it's in a conduit, so it's all time bound. So it does take a bit longer. And as I said earlier, the royalty rates are very low, around the 10%, because they've got to make the money back from that. But another thing you can get with them is they can sell your rights to other countries, so therefore you make more money there as well. But I haven't included that. So that's one end of the scale. The other end is self-publishing. So we know quite a bit about self-publishing. You've got no quality assurance if you self-publish your own book. I've seen lots of self-published books. I'm assured that the authors edited it themselves 6 times. I just smile at that one. Promotion and distribution, well, good luck. Where'd you start with that if you're not in the industry? Because it takes a lot to get into a distributor like Gardner's, for example. And there's no advance payment. So, you know, you are working out everything yourself. You're like in the dark, don't know what you're doing, don't know who's good, who's not good, what's quality, what's not quality. And you've not got that guidance. And there's so many different levels and layers to publishing. But good thing is, no royalty cut, you get everything. You get everything from that if you self-publish. You own everything. You own those rights. And you've got creative control. So depending on how creative you are, what you know, what you don't know, and I've got a great saying that I use all the time: you don't know what you don't know. And that's how you need to keep coming to events like this, networking. That's how you learn. Every day's a school day. You don't know what you don't know. You might know a lot about something, but then somebody else will say something, oh, well, I didn't know that. But you know 99 other brilliant things. So every day's a school day. So self-publishing. So you can publish your book independently, and you've got full control over everything. And Amazon is the go-to place for self-publishing. And Amazon's a bookstore. Of course, they're a monopoly, because they know if they can get people to self-publish their book, they can make more money. So they make it easy. They give you, it's an ASIN number, not an ISBN number. So it's easy to recognize self-publish, but there's other massive telltale signs. What are the pros? Complete creative control. Fantastic. You can publish a book in a week. I know lots of entrepreneurs just now, they're writing 15-page ebooks and putting them up in a day, and they're using AI to do that. Well, Amazon need to know if your book's got any AI, and it will be able to tell if it's been written by AI. So whilst we embrace AI here, you need to be very clear in how you're using it. But of course, you can get a book up, and so these people that say, write your book in 30 days, we're on Amazon, and we've got no quality. And of course, there's no royalty rate, so you're having everything. So that's a good one. So what is challenging about that? Well, you've got full responsibility for every single aspect of your book. Even the editing, the design, the marketing. People might go to Canva to do a front cover. That's okay for prototypes. We've used Canva for prototypes, but we never create the completed front cover using Canva. Canva is limited. It's professional tools that you're using. And you have very limited access to the distribution channels. Actually, Amazon, you can opt in for some international distribution channels. I do believe there's a charge for that, which gives you some access to some, not all. So hybrid publishing. So let's look at what that is. So Book Brilliance Publishing, we're hybrid. It's the best of both worlds. This is what we believe. So you don't get an advance payment, unfortunately. We're not old enough or big enough yet to maybe do a mashup between hybrid and traditional. It is something that I'm aiming towards, because there's some amazing writers out there and I want to be able to give them a help. And I kind of do to a certain extent, but we don't do advance payments yet. There is a split in the royalty cut, but it's way bigger than traditional publishing, but it's not all of it. But we show you how to do ROI so you get those 6 figures, which is not just on your book sales. You have complete creative control because this is a collaboration. You drive, we navigate. So our job is to present to you and give you advice and all the things all the questions answered. But the bottom line is it ends with you and you make the final decision. So you have the creative control. Like just now we're working with an author who's gone to Africa to get an image drawing for her book, because it was proving a bit of a challenge because she had a fixed idea. So now we're working with the illustrator in India, and we're working together so that we can do that. So she's full creative control over that front cover. Quality assurance. So we can guarantee the quality of traditional publishing. And the reason I guarantee that is because I taught for 25 years. English was my subject, as well as special needs. And we are all highly skilled and qualified at Book Brilliance Publishing. And so between us, we've got about 80 years of experience. So we know we can give you great quality. Promotion and distribution. Yes, 200 countries, 40,000 outlets. And we work with you very closely to help you get it into bookstores. That's not always a given, but we know ways of helping you do that at a local level. And of course, you own everything. We don't own your rights. You have everything. We help you with your intellectual property, and you maintain 100% rights to your work. So we combine the elements. I said traditional self-publishing. We offer you a blend of professional support and creative control. What are the pros? Well, you have access to professional editing, design, distribution, anything and everything you need for your book. We can provide that for you. We provide, I'll tell you that wee bit at the end. A higher royalty rate compared to traditional publishing, and you have more control over the process compared to traditional publishing. So we discuss everything with you, and you make the choice based on the information we give you. There are costs associated with hybrid publishing. It is an investment. And varying quality and reputation among hybrid publishing companies. There are some hybrid publishing companies that I would like to consider myself that are really good in quality, and I can put my hand in heart and say we are, because 2 years ago 15 Principles came out after a big what would you call it, not a study, well, a bit like a study, and we've adopted them, and you'll find them on our website, and we adhere to them because as an educator we had standards. There's no, the publishing industry is not standardized, which, you know, for someone like me, driven by integrity, so we took the 15 principles and we now apply them in our business, and we ensure that we follow those principles so that we give a open and honest, transparent business. So considerations for choosing. I was going to tell you something else. What was I going to tell you? I knew I should have told you. I knew it would go out my head. Yeah, so like with hybrid, I know what I was going to tell you about Book Brilliance Publishing. We're holistic. What does that mean? Well, it's 360 degrees because we begin with brand. Before we write a word, you need to know who you are, what you stand for, what you stand against in order to stand out. So therefore, when you work from a place of brand, and it's about that brand awareness, we are creating books with soul, books that are purpose driven, that that you're passionate about, that has those ingredients that you need for longevity. So that's what I wanted to say about the hybrid and about us in particular. So one of the most important things, after you know who you are, the next most important thing is, who's my audience? Who's that brand audience? Who are you targeting as the readership? And your readership is your client. So we look at that. Where do they hang out? What do they do? What demographic? What is their job? What level of education do they have? How much money are they earning? What bracket are they in? You need to know everything about that audience so that we can target them and market with a focus rather than a scattergun approach. So then, what are the goals for the book? So what's the purpose of the book? Why do you want to write the book? What goal do you have for your book? Where do you see your book in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? What's the legacy? What's the philosophy? So all of these questions are important because we want the clarity. If we've got clarity, we can carve even the path less traveled, we can carve it with certainty. But if we don't have that clarity, it's about like being in the fog and hoping you take the right path. And of course, we want that widespread recognition, that authority, the #1 go-to expert in your field. All of these things are important. How do you position yourself? So what's your brand doing in order to position yourself? How do you leverage who you are right now and what you've got? And how do we catapult you further so that you stand out against those great authors that that have inspired you? And of course, the important thing for me is, how do we get those maximum profits? And it's not book sales. So what resources? So it's the time, the skills, the money, who's the right people to help. You know, we have creative partners that can take you even further along the way. Like we have a creative partner for audiobooks, for more branding, for more PR, for more, did I say marketing? Yes, marketing, PR. In America, I work with someone if you were wanting to tap into the American market. So I have a number of creative partners that can help us do these things. And the latest thing that we are involved in with resources is we now offer 6 months paid ads on Google and Meta, and soon to be Amazon is part of what we do as well, because, and they're driven by AI with a company called Shimmer. So what do we have? What resources do we have at our fingertips? What do you have? What do we have? And who else do we know, like, and trust, who mirror our values and quality? How much control do you want over the publishing process? So you have as much control as you dare to take on, which hopefully is around 100%. We give 100%, we've got 200%, so we are driving in the same way. And what's your desired timeline for publishing your book? So given our experience, what we found is, and looking to the marketing, we look around 9 months. So the birth of a baby, the birth of a book. So anything from around 9 months to 15, 18 months. Depends if you've got a manuscript or not. Depends, are you someone who's done a lot of writing previously or not? So there's a lot of different layers as to how long it will take you. We did do a book in 4 months, but we would never do that again. It was 24/7, and the author ended up ill after it. But you know, we did it once, and we learned we wouldn't do that again, because you need the marketing. You need a good 6 months marketing. So, for example, if you want your book to be in the bookseller, that your book has to be almost complete 6 months before publication date in order to get it into the bookseller, where it's a magazine, all the bookstores and independent bookstores look at what's coming out. So if it was now July, they're looking what books are coming out early 2025. So they're ordering books for February, March. So they always work a good 6, 9, 12 months in advance. That's why traditional publishers take 2 years, because they need those 12 months for the marketing of the book, and to get it into the buyers and to get it into the stores, it takes that amount of time. They always work in advance. And there's lots of other platforms that you can use to help get your book into different chains and different platforms. So we look at that. I think if you had a full manuscript, we probably and it was in a good level, we probably could do it as quick as 6 months, but not really anything less than that. But 9 months is about a good length of time if you've got a manuscript, and you're talking more like a year if you've not got a manuscript, because we really want to help with the art and with the chapter framework to make it a dippable book. So what method is best for you? So as a thank you for coming, you will get a document that's got all this in it, so you can read it at your leisure. You can look at what are the advantages and disadvantages. What do I want? What would be best? What suits you? So let's look at it. Traditional publishing, self-publishing, or hybrid publishing. Which one is for you? And you will have this document after this, so that you can look at it at your leisure and think about it more. So, of course, community support. We've always got the Book Brilliance Tribe on Facebook, where when you're in a group with like-minded people and like-minded people, and you're talking about the subjects that are dear to you, that are going to help you, then you can get that support and guidance to become a successful author. So I'm going to stop sharing. Any questions?
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am, for all the knowledge. You see, so far, I have published 2 books. I authored 2 books. One is this. This is Discover Yourself.
Yeah.
This was self-publishing, and I didn't have to pay anything for that. It's around 100 pages or so. And later on, the publisher, they got it translated into several languages, also into European languages, without any cost to me. Okay. Now, and second is, second version of this is, who am I? Huh? And this is published in India, and this is, you can say, almost hybrid sort of publishing, where I had some control over the quality, but I got help from editing, etc. But I had to incur expenditure on getting it published.
Yes.
So this is what is my experience so far only. Now the question is, suppose I have to get it published by Book Brilliance Publishing and a hybrid type. So and say 100 pages or so. So what shall be the cost to the author?
Okay, I think we need to have a conversation so I can understand a bit more, and then I can look at what that would cost, Dr. Jagdish. So you and I need to have a conversation. I will get my team member to send you my scheduler and book in, and we'll have a conversation around that.
Second question, suppose, do you get it translated?
So translation, oh, I don't know if he's still there. Okay, so translation is, there's two ways that we could, I don't know, there's two ways, Dr. Jagdish. We can sell the rights so you make money, or you pay for it, and then we need to find another publisher. So what we would look at, so we've just had a book translated into Japanese, so they paid us, of which the author gets. You know, we take a small proportion and the author gets most of the money, because it's a publisher to publisher. Translation doesn't usually work through author and a big publishing house in another country. So so obviously once we have one door opening, that opens many more doors as we can then pitch. So again, that would be another conversation.
Yeah, sure. And
Because
one
there's no
more,
hard and fast rule, that's the issue.
one more small question. Suppose this book is already published. Now, same manuscript, can I get it republished from BBP with a different ISBN number?
No, you can't use the same ISBN number. We need a different ISBN number. And again, I would want to look at that. I think I've actually got a copy of that. I'll double check, Jagdish, and have a look at it, because you would need to bring it out as a second edition. So quite often people come to us. So we've had people who've self-published and come, they want their book like professionally published, because it opens way more doors, i.e. getting on stages, i.e. getting in stores. You know, because the book trade, well, it's changing slightly. I do have to say it is beginning to change, but on the whole, the book trade don't really recognize self-published, and it needs to be of a high quality, and then they're now beginning to do some recognition. But it's taking time, you know, it will catch up.
But there's no system of advance payment.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll have a conversation. I can answer all those personal questions to you.
Sure.
Jeff, do you have any questions?
Yeah, so I'd be interested in hybrid as well, I think. I'm probably going to have a relatively limited audience. If I sell 1,000 copies, that's great. But of more interest to me is to, pique the interest of one or more of those readers and then work with them. And to be honest, if I work with 2 or 3 people over a few years, I've made more money than I know what to do with. So
exactly. So let me talk about a wee bit about ROI, because I think I know both of you are interested in this. So, and this is the bit that lights me up, right? The book's the calling card that opens doors, right?
Yeah.
But we want a quality book, and I can't do anything unless it's to the best of my ability. So I want the best for your book. So if you're a good writer, I'll make it a great book. If you're a great book, we'll make it extraordinary. You know, we will take it to the highest level possible, which makes your book dippable, memorable, which makes a book have that longevity, because it's got all those values, and it's got storytelling, it's got lessons in it, it's got all the things that need to be inside a book that make it one of those books. I mean, I've got a friend that's got a great book, but the typesetting on his book is shocking, and it's traditionally published. It's shocking, and there's no subheadings. Who wants to read a book that's just all page of print? Well, I know I don't, and most people are visual today. So, you know, but anyway, I digress a little there. So,
Well, I hadn't asked my question yet.
okay,
But
right,
my question was, because you mentioned, you know, have a manuscript first. I don't have a manuscript yet.
you don't need
but
a
I
manuscript, Jeff. You
don't
don't
need a
need a
manuscript.
Nope.
Okay.
I'll tell you for why. So sometimes people come to us with a manuscript, and you don't know what you don't know. I said
Yeah.
that at the beginning. So if you don't know what makes a great manuscript, and
No.
how to structure it, and then how to do a chapter framework, you could go and write a book and come to me, and I'll go, right, okay, we need to unpick a lot of this, and let's go back to the beginning, and we start again. So I actually have found I prefer when I get great people who've got great intellectual property. And like, I've got this book and this is what I want to do, and you answer all those great questions, then then it's easier for us then to quickly structure it, because I know how to do that, and I do it with you. I don't do it for you. We do it together. And then we take what we look at the tools that's available. So it's like you've got your tool chest. I want to put this in my chapters, these in my chapters. I want to have diagrams. I want to have tables. I want to have, you know, illustrations. I want to have cartoons. I want to have quotes. I want to have whatever it is. And you've got about 20, 30 things. And then we decide what is going to make your book different, unique. And of course, because it's you and your story, and your, again, intellectual property, that helps towards the uniqueness. But of course, we want to make it credible and authority. So where's the research? Who are you quoting? Who are you who are you aligning yourself with? You know, so we look at all of that. So it is better if we don't even have, you know what you want to write, but you need the help to put it all together, and then you write it.
I would say that's pretty much my problem, actually. I've got a bazillion notes, and it's a case of organizing them and putting them in ways that are presentable for my particular audience.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what we want to do. So I'm working with another lady just now, and it's like that. She's got so the issue is, like, sometimes having too much information, it can be as bad as not having any.
Not enough, yeah.
You know. So that's how the conversations we have exactly about who's it for, what do you want to teach them, what's the message. When we understand all of that, it's much easier to go, right, that needs to go in, that needs to go in. Like, keep that can be a bonus chapter. Okay, that's book 2 further down the line, you know. So you look at, again, it's like, let's see what we've got. Okay, what do we want the reader to take out of by the end of the book? In order to get that topic, what are the themes that create that topic in such a way that it's intense, that it's, you know, it's locked, that each element is needed in order for them to understand the whole picture, you know.
Okay.
So it's like, if you think of the pie, you know, and we're doing a carrot cake, well, you might not want a carrot cake and an orange cake and a coconut cake and a lemon cake. You might want all variations of that orange cake going all the way through it. And that is one of the issues I see a lot. People write a book And you think, well, what's that doing in there? What's that got to do with anything? You know, you think, well, if they'd spoken about that, it would have made more sense. And of course, the best books are simple. We keep them simple. And to keep them simple, we have all those subheadings. We signpost everything. Because without the signposting, your book's not dippable. I could take practically any book off that shelf, and these are all like people like you know, Daniel Goleman, and we've got Stephen Covey up there, and we've got Robert Kiyosaki and Dr. David Hawkins' work up there. You know, you have to make your book dippable, because that's the books that you can go back to. Sometimes academia books, we seem to be doing a lot from academia to commercial at the minute as well. That's happening for us. Taking PhDs and making them into a commercial book, you know, because the content is so brilliant, but the way it's presented isn't in everyday language.
I've got one of them, actually.
Yeah. So
I work a bit with the University of Vienna, and they just produced a book, and you can barely get past the first page or two just because of the way the stuff's presented.
Exactly.
And it's my topic.
Look, I know, you know, having been at university myself and done dissertations, you know, you've got to, you know, you're trying to get all that credibility into your own dissertation and that authority, and you're reading all these books, but God, you wade through them. But then I think that's sort of altering a little bit. But again, that's all about, well, we know what academia books are all about, is to keep it elite. It's about elitism, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But now professors and people like that are want everybody to be educated.